Can you predict someone's divorce by their wedding?
I believe that sometimes the bigger the wedding, the more likely the divorce. That's been my experience. I have done, and I happen to be in the high net worth space, so of course a lot of my people have a lot of money, so they had big weddings. But I have found that the bigger the ring, the bigger the divorce, and the bigger the wedding spectacle, the more likely the divorce, in my experience. Because there is something extremely performative about a wedding. And there's also something extremely narcissistic about a wedding. Like, if you break down like the role of a bride in a traditional wedding, meaning its current iteration, it's an unbelievably narcissistic pursuit for a woman. Like, we're going to do an engagement, which is you're going to give me a stone of tremendous value that I'm going to wear as a public display of the fact that I am now engaged in this commitment. And then I'm going to put that on social media. And then we're going to have an engagement party. So that's party one. Okay. Then we're going to have all of these activities around planning this singular day where I'm going to be the center of attention, right? And everything's going to be structured around me. And then I'm going to have a bachelorette party, party number 2. Then we're going to have a rehearsal dinner, party number 3. Then we're going to have the wedding, party number 4, right? And wedding reception, if you consider that part of the same. Then we're going to have a post-wedding brunch, usually the next day, right? And then we're going to have a honeymoon, which is basically like a week of partying over the fact.
I didn't even look at it from that perspective. I completely did not look at it from that perspective. Now, obviously, we do know the wedding is more so for the woman than the man, right? It just is, you know, and he touched on a couple things, right? The woman gets the ring. More times than not, the woman gets to choose where the wedding is going to be held. Obviously, you know, honeymoon and stuff might be a mutual decision, but let's just say majority of the wedding planning process, the husband, the person that's about to become the husband, just basically tells the wedding planner, look, whatever she wants, as long as it's within the budget. Some of y'all say, regardless if it ain't in the budget, she still gets what she wants, right? But he actually has a point to make here, man. Marriage is not what it used to be, right? And again, I come from a 2-parent household. Parents been married for over 33 years. Grandparents have been married for over 60 years. Great grandparents were also married. We're just not seeing that now today, right? The divorce rate in America, I think, is gone up to 70% and is continuing to climb. Now, me personally, I am still an advocate for marriage. You know, I'm still an advocate for marriage. I don't mind one day getting married and, you know, truly finding your person. But I think where the disconnect is that it has now become more of a circus show, right? Who can have the biggest wedding, the biggest, you know, gifts. I mean, you got nowadays, now people are buying their newlywed wives cars as their wedding gift. Now, if you got it in the budget, cool. Nobody's hating, but I think social media has played a big role in how we look at marriage today, how we look at love today. You know, back in the day, you used to get into it with somebody. You couldn't just, you know, hang up and go find your next person like that. You know what I'm saying? Where nowadays you get into it with your boyfriend, girlfriend, and in some cases, even your husband or your wife, get around on social media and the next person's right there. They're a DM away, literally a DM away, you know, and that's how powerful social media is. I greatly believe that social media has had a big influence on the divorce rates today. I think it has had a good influence, or not a good, but a big influence on why a lot of people have commitment issues. You know, we have this narrative now that we're pushing that it's okay to not be with a person, and to a certain extent, right? But what they say, nothing in this life comes easy, and a lot of people nowadays have commitment issues. You do one thing, they're ready to move on to the next person. One thing, right? And that's obviously self-evaluation, person to person, and everybody's not like that, but safe to say majority, right? And that's where the problem comes in. But let's continue.
Like, so we're at 6 parties now, 7 parties. You know, like, and then by the way, if we're doing it, then we're going to have a baby shower. Then we're going to have but like, oh, I forgot the bridal shower, by the way. I forgot the bridal shower. I left that out. I said bachelorette party, but I didn't do bridal shower. So we're up to 7 parties for that. Like, if this is really important to you, you're telling me a lot about yourself. You're telling me how important being the center of attention is to you and how much this performative thing is to you. You know, when all of the money and time that was spent. Now, by the way, I'm not pissing on weddings. Like, I think having a wedding's great. Like, I think if the first time you get everybody you love in the same room as your funeral, you're an idiot. Like, I think you should celebrate. Like, I love this person. They love me. We found each other. How improbable was that? 8 billion people in the world. We found each other. You know, have a party, take some pictures, have some drinks, do the dance, do the whole thing. It's great, man. Eat some pigs in blankets. Love it. But we've turned it into just a spectacle. I mean, the wedding industrial complex, man, it's a trillion dollar industry. It's insane. It's insane. And again, catastrophically fails more than 50% of the time.
So, like I said, I thought the numbers were 70%, but I mean, he said more than 50. So do the research. It is up there. It's like 70% compared to the numbers in the early, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. The divorce rates are significantly higher. And when it comes to, lesbians, women weren't marrying women, those numbers are even higher. Surprisingly, they're higher than, gays marrying gays, as in men. Gay men marrying gay men. Lesbians have the highest divorce rates. And then I think it's, male and female, and then it's male and male. So, but yeah, the more money you spend on the wedding, the more likely you're willing to get divorced, because again, it's not really about the love. It's about the materialistic. It's about, me showing up, showing off, keeping up with the Joneses at that point.
But they don't tell you that part.
Do people often divorce because of their wedding?
Well, I mean, technically everyone divorces because of their wedding.
Yeah, that's
if they
fair.
didn't get married, they wouldn't be getting divorced. But no, I've not seen people that have a bad experience at the wedding and then immediately get divorced. I've seen like marriages that only lasted like a couple of weeks.
That was a really dumb question for me, because I have this assumption in my head that if I would get married, I would get married at court and then do the wedding. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's value to that. I think a lot of people actually do that. Like, because, part of the paperwork you have to fill out when you do a divorce is a certificate of dissolution of marriage, and you have to lay out the actual date of the civil marriage and then the date of what's called the solemnization ceremony, or like the wedding itself. And so you often see that there's a tremendous difference between the two. Like, the people got legally married months before so they could get on each other's health insurance or whatever other reason. And then they did the party and the performance of it a couple months later.
I will say this too, man. A lot of people don't know that, but the government does incentivize us to get married, down to, like you say, healthcare, right? If you're living in the same household as somebody, but they're not technically your spouse, you can't leverage the benefit of being on their health insurance, dental, vision. Taxes. A lot of people don't know that either. Your taxes are cheaper when you file that you're married. You're in a lower tax bracket. Obviously, it's nothing crazy, but you're still in a lower tax bracket if you're, filing married than if you were a single filer. But the government does push it. They do incentivize marriages. And again, ultimately, it just comes down to your preference, right? I would never push marriages on people, but I do believe that is a great thing to have, especially if you come from a biblical background. It's a good thing to have, but it's just the way that we're doing it. We're not doing it the right way. We're not looking at it through the lens of our grandparents and our great grandparents or even our parents. We're just not. We're so, especially the whole, independent woman movement. I couldn't tell you how many videos I see of women just divorcing and splitting up their homes. And it's not an attack on women, but it's just the truth. Majority of divorces are initiated by women. That is a fact. Majority of divorces are initiated by women, but there's a lot of things that have led to these high divorce rates. But at the same time, I did think this was an interesting take. He really put it in a perspective. Narcissistic perspective is crazy. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one.